Welcome to the College Football Bros, the podcast that can't wait for Georgia, Alabama. And now, here are your hosts, Michael, Ryan, and Trey Newman.
Welcome to the College Football Bros podcast. I am Michael Newman, and I'm joined by the brother who still has an AOL email address.
Yeah, what's the problem? That's me, Ryan Newman. 131
right.
at blank.com.
And by the other brother, who is an Outlook guy.
I am an Outlook guy, loyal Microsoft guy. That's me, Trey Newman.
All right. At the top of the show here, not going to be asking you to follow us on social media. Don't do it. Instead, check out our sponsor.
That's right. Our sponsor is MyBookie. You can go to mybookie.ag. Between the NFL, college football, the baseball playoffs are winding down here. We're going to have the World Series soon. There's no shortage of games to watch. Thousands of lines available on your favorite sports, other events. You can turn your game day into payday at MyBookie. If you use the promo code CFBROS, all caps CFBROS, you can double your first deposit up to $1,000. Maybe you like backing the big favorites. You could put a couple of them into a parlay for a bigger payout. Maybe do a money line parlay. Makes the games more fun on both Saturdays and Sundays, or even the random.
How about money line parlay some dogs? There you go. Just go crazy.
Go
wheel
bold.
it. Exactly. And it's fun. You can do a small bet.
Talk about a payday.
Exactly. Small bet, big payday. But there's championship futures, player props if you're more focused on that as opposed to just the games. You can always get in on the action, even though we're a quarter of the way into the season for most of football. So if you sign up at MyBookie, just use that promo code CFBROS. You'll get that dollar for dollar match up to $1,000. And they even have like UFC. It's a lot of fun to check out that MyBookie.ag.
They got politics. Oh yeah,
they got it all.
Sure.
There you go. All right, let's recap week 6 here, the big games. OU beat Texas in just an insane game, 53-45 in quadruple overtime. Ryan, what'd you see here?
Game of the year so far. I mean, the game went back and forth.
Entertainment-wise, for sure.
Yes, exactly. A game back and forth the whole time. Well, it wasn't exactly, kind of as you just alluded to, wasn't exactly the cleanest and highest level game that we've ever seen, especially the Red River shootout. But it was good. It was fun to watch. Each team had 3 turnovers. Spencer Rattler got benched for a while because he just, I think Lincoln Riley's like, man, enough's enough, dude. Stop turning the ball over, dude. But then, the backup came in and he had some shaky moments as well. So Texas, they went more than 30 minutes in this game without putting a point on the board. If you kind of realize that, it's like, wow, they didn't score for a long time.
Yeah.
But they were down 31-17. And then Ellinger and Texas scored 2 touchdowns in the final 4 minutes to send it to overtime. And OT was crazy. The first 2 overtimes, both teams scored touchdowns relatively easily. But once it got crazy, once you got to the third, Texas was on offense first. They stopped around the 14-yard line or something like that. And they had their field goal attempt blocked. And so then OU, all they had to do was just kick a field goal on their possession. They're going to win. So they get down to, I think it was actually OU here that kicked from the 14-yard line.
Okay.
Gabe Burkich, been great. He's been a solid kicker.
He's only missed one field goal in his entire career.
And exactly. He's been awesome. But he yanked the living heck out of it. Just like
crazy.
Straight left. Like, whoa, dude. That was horrible. Jitters had to have played a factor there. So went into quadruple overtime. And OU scored early on the first possession, made the 2-point conversion, and then Ellinger threw a pick on their preceding possession. So, it was crazy. You kind of figured this. We most of us knew, which is like it was gonna be a close game. The spread was so close. Figured it was gonna be back and forth, and who knew? But OU had a slight edge, and ended up happening.
Yeah, and one thing I found out interesting, a nugget before the game, it's been 12 straight years Oklahoma has actually been a favorite in this game. Kind of a little surprising to me. But this game, it really does. It almost always delivers. So entertaining. And like you said, Ryan, to your point, Oklahoma, it wasn't a work of art, but their defense held Ellinger in check for that kind of middle part of the game.
Yeah, they were putting some pressure on him.
They did the last part of the fourth quarter and then overtime. Ellinger kind of had his way, but they at least made it a challenge for some of the game. But there were two coaching decisions in this game that really stood out to me. One, at the end of regulation, you mentioned Texas made a great 14-point comeback in the last 5 minutes. That last drive, they marched down the field, ended up scoring on a very easy touchdown with 14 seconds left. I personally thought they would go for 2 and the win, just considering, you know that you don't have the best defense. So going into overtime against a really good offense, it's going to be tough to stop them. You've got 2 yards to beat Oklahoma. You could do it. That was one. I mean, I understand why you kick it, but I just kind of thought this scenario, they could have gone for it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded it.
So there's that. Then the other decision was Lincoln Riley in double or triple overtime kicking that field goal. So they got down to the 14-yard line, and on second down, he decided to kick the field goal instead of. To me, it was almost like he played scared, like he played not to turn it over. Now I know Burkich is incredible. The odds of making a 31-yard field goal are pretty close or pretty good, but it was just kind of like, I don't know. The message just was weird. You don't really see that often, especially when Texas doesn't have the greatest defense. You can just kind of.
Yeah, I used to be kind of a big advocate for just keep running your offense, keep getting closer, run the ball. But I don't know. I think it's maybe closer than I used to think because obviously Burkich, a really good kicker. You can set it up in the middle and he's 90+% to make that. And, if you keep running your offense, running the ball up the middle or whatever you want to do, every play there's a 1 or 2% chance that you're going to fumble. So each play, you're adding that possibility. And even the gain, what's really the gain if you're only going to end up gaining a couple yards, a few yards, doesn't really increase percentage of the field goal that much. Yeah, you could score a touchdown and then you don't have to worry about it.
Well, and it's like you're not playing the Georgia's defense, you're playing Texas's defense here. But no, I totally understand. Like I don't think. I mean, if he makes it, it's not even really a point. But I did think about it when he kicked it. It was just so surprising. You don't see that.
Yeah, I don't like it. I just don't like it.
But then earlier,
it's close,
Lincoln Riley's been a little conservative this year. He in the first quarter, he decided to kick a field goal from like the 1.5. He did the same thing against Iowa State last week. It's just I always thought Riley of being more aggressive. He's just been a little more conservative than usual.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely been very surprising. And I guess the other thing, I see your guys' point. I think it's a close decision. I didn't bring up there's also a chance you get a penalty or something that gets you out of field goal range. So there's,
I see both sides.
I guess
it was
I don't
surprising.
know the answer, but it was surprising. Okay. How about a bad beat on that under and the under in that game?
Yeah. Quadruple overtime.
Feels like a lot of people looked at the score and just thought like, oh, offense is just dominated, but wasn't
just
really
in
the
overtime.
case.
No, it wasn't at all.
Overtime. Okay, next game. Texas A&M won at home against Florida 41-38 on a Seth Small field goal as time expired. Trey, what were your thoughts here?
This game was also at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. It was tough to go back and forth between these games. This loss was not on the Gators offense. Kyle Trask, he was amazing again, efficient, threw 4 touchdowns. He completed a pass to 8 different receivers. But we've kind of talked about it, and now it's starting to become a pattern. Florida's defense has been a little disappointing so far. They had to go up against some really good offenses, but it's not what we expected up to this point. Against Ole Miss, it was the pass defense. But against the Aggies, the pass defense wasn't great, but it was also the run defense. They had over 200 yards rushing. Spiller was kind of running wild through the Gators in the latter part of the second half. They converted 12 of 15 third downs, Kellen Mond did. So it's a big win for Jimbo, and now all of a sudden the Aggies look to be in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, they're definitely, I mean, they've got kind of the toughest part of their schedule, Alabama and Florida behind them. So the rest of the games are all winnable. I mean,
obviously, if they could, you would have told them before the year, if they would have split that, they would have been jumping for joy. So,
that was the goal.
Looking pretty good at 2-1 for them.
For sure. I think all their goals are still in front of them. But yeah, just, I mean, you said it, Trey, huge win for Jimbo. It just, of course, he's not on the hot seat or anything like that, but it just felt like he kind of needed a big win. He hadn't had it yet.
It
So
looked like it after the game. He was pretty pumped.
he was very pumped.
He was
Yeah,
pumped. He was like, okay, this was big. This was a big one.
For sure. And finally, Kellen Mond got, the wide receivers for A&M has been something we've talked about as a question mark this year. They've lost a couple guys. Well, Caleb Chapman balled out in this 151 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he is now out for the year. So it's just like the hits keep coming there at wide receiver. So I don't know.
That sucks so bad. I mean,
get a big moving forward.
The guy, he was good, man. That's too bad.
Yeah. But yeah, as for Florida, they just need to get that defense figured out. They still control their destiny for, make the playoff. All their goals are still alive, but Todd Grantham's got to figure it out.
Yeah, that's weird. It's, they lost some key pieces, but it's not like they, should be this.
They didn't get decimated. You didn't think they'd drop this.
Yeah, exactly. And they've never been bad in the last decade plus. So it's
been, a long time.
Not good.
Okay. Next game we have here, Alabama won in the highest scoring regulation game in SEC history, 63-48. And I just thought Lane Kiffin called a perfect game. He was going for it on 4th down. He attempted a surprise onside kick. They really should have got it.
The right call.
It's the right call, especially because they were going to stop Alabama anyway. Of course.
Exactly.
Jerrion Ely and Snoop Connor both ran for over 100 yards. Obviously, Matt Corral was amazing through the air, but ultimately, they just couldn't get a stop. So Najee Harris was just punishing defenders. 206 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns. Like, he was just throwing them off. They had no chance.
Heisman consideration with the big game.
Yeah, that game puts you up there. Although Mac Jones,
who's
ahead of him right now, and he was amazing. So, I honestly don't downgrade Alabama very much for this. I know the defense didn't play well, but Ole Miss is a great offense, and Massey Peabody actually had Alabama as their highest game grade this weekend, which was surprising. But you look at the yards per play differential in this game. Yeah, offense was perfect. So it's all about that differential.
So hard when your offense goes down the field every time it scores, probably going to win most games. So, I love the onside kick attempt. People that maybe got a little upset with that. Come on, guys, really? I think somebody during the game. Somebody who wasn't the announcer during the game. Didn't he say that? Like,
I didn't hear it.
Kick him deep and hold him, make him go the whole field, because you give him a short field if you. Yeah, I think it was. I think it might have been Todd Blackledge. Maybe it was the guy who was saying, I don't know, whatever it was. Like, dude, really? Like this
onside kick, surprise onside kicks have a very high percentage of success. And when you're a big underdog and you couldn't stop them anyway, those are the things you got to do.
Yeah, it's just, there's a tweet that got sent out. Got a lot of pub. Ole Miss only prevented Alabama from getting 41 yards in the game. Like, so meaning
Roger
Alabama
Sherman
had the
was
ball.
That tweet.
Yeah, Alabama had the ball 11 times. And they scored 9 touchdowns on the 11 those times. Then they fumbled on the one. So that was 1 yard. And then the other one they punted from the 40. So 41 yards that they missed out on. It was just like, there's no way that Ole Miss could
I don't even think that fumble was a fumble.
No.
Fumble of Najee Harris's career, but it should have been called forward progress.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
But to that tweet, it was 723 yards of a possible 764. I mean, that's just nuts. I've never really thought about offense and defense that way before, but it was interesting to see.
That's why that tweet went viral, because it's just never thought about it like that.
I mean,
they're just so freaking good. And I'm like you said, Michael, I'm not going to judge Alabama's defense yet on just because of this game. Like, Ole Miss up tempo, we've seen they have a great offense. They did it against Florida. They've done it each week.
Kentucky.
So, exactly. So, while I don't think Bama's defense is maybe as good as we thought, I still am going to wait and reserve judgment on that, because this week was. Yep.
Okay. We've got a few crazy endings to get to. I'll start here with Arkansas at Auburn. Felipe Franks was great in this game, 22 of 30, 4 touchdowns, no picks. And so as a double-digit underdog, I think they were like a 17-point underdog. Arkansas had...
I thought it shrunk to like 13.5.
Oh, did it? That's right. Okay.
I think it started the year, the week 17 shrunk. And
Okay, 2-touchdown underdog then. But they had a 1-point lead late in the game. And so Auburn, with 30 seconds left, attempted a spike, of course, to stop the clock. And Bo Nix fumbled the snap, picked it up, and spiked it backwards, which is just crazy. I don't think I've ever seen that. But referees blew the whistle, called it incomplete, and Auburn ended up, of course, retaining
First
the ball.
off,
And
you can't spike it after you fumble it. Second of all,
well,
you
yeah,
threw it backwards. It's a fumble.
Exactly. So the spike, I think, what do they call intentional grounding there, whatever they
Yeah, it'd
call
be
it.
intentional grounding. Yeah.
But it should have been a fumble. But like I said, they blew the whistle. Yeah, and Auburn ended up kicking a field goal to win. So it sucks. Like Arkansas did get screwed because they made the incorrect call. I will say though, on replay, like at that point, there was nothing that they could do to change it, because in order to call it a fumble, you would have had to have you would have an immediate recovery following the play.
There wasn't.
And everyone was saying, "Oh, Arkansas recovered it." It's like it was not even close to immediate. It was squirting out, and
the whistles were blowing, and
whistles were blowing again. Players were kind of half-heartedly going after it. So yeah, that's why they have that immediate rule. But yeah, I mean, the guy blew the whistle. I'd be mad at that though, for me, because it's like, yes, the referee made a mistake, but it's a pretty understandable one. Like, I've never seen that happen. So
no,
it is what it is, unfortunately.
That's rough. I mean, when you see him fumble, I don't know. Like, they should have at least called like grounding or something.
Well, they did call
made
grounding.
the mistake that way.
Yeah, did they not call? Yeah,
they did call grounding. That's why the field goal was longer.
Oh, my fault. Okay, sorry about that.
So yeah, they did. They did call grounding, but it should have been, and obviously it should have been a fumble on a live ball, but it was. Yeah. But like Michael said, you never seen that before. Mm-hmm. All right, so there was another one. LSU was at Missouri, and this game, of course, got moved to Missouri because of Hurricane Delta, which didn't think it would be a factor, but it ended up maybe being a factor. Missouri ended up winning 45-41. So be honest. Raise your hand if you saw Mizzou putting up over 600 yards against LSU this season. We weren't.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I did. Yeah, I did for sure. Yeah.
We were all very low on LSU, but didn't envision Missouri's offense doing this. Eli Drinkowitz, man, pretty fun. Really turned that offense around in the short term. Bazelak was incredible in his first start. 29-34, 406 yards, 4 touchdowns. They even lost the turnover battle 3-0. And won this game. But here's how the game ended. Mizzou marched down 77 yards, 4 plays, take the lead. There's about 5 minutes left. LSU kind of plots their way down the field with 45 seconds left. Brennan found Terrace Marshall, caught it at the 1, and he kind of had trouble reaching it out to score. You thought when he caught it, he'd be able to reach it out and score, but no problem. 1st and goal at the 1, stuffed on 1st down, stuffed on 2nd down, 3rd down, they had a pass batted down. Then all of a sudden you got 1 play, 4th and goal. 4th and goal, Brennan rolls out, looks for Marshall again, knocked away. Missouri pulls off the upset.
Unreal.
You didn't think it would end on a goal line stand by Missouri, but overall, it's just LSU, man. They look really bad, especially Bo Pelini's defense.
Oof. Bo. Come on, Bo.
Yeah, the LSU fans are already done with him there.
Yeah.
But they just, they might be stuck with him for a little while.
Yeah, that's rough. All right, let's move on to my game here at Pitt at Boston College. So, kind of jump forward here. Boston College was up 10 for most of the 4th quarter until Pitt scored a touchdown with about 2:18 remaining in the game to make it 24-21. So Pitt was down 3. They held BC to a super quick 3 and out on that very next possession. So they got the ball back pretty quickly. They scored. Here's how they, with about 40 seconds remaining, they got to about the 41-yard line of BC, and they had to kick a 58-yard field goal to try to tie the game. And Alex Kessman just nailed it. So nailed it. They held BC on the last-ditch effort. Game went to overtime, so Kessman had that 58-yarder. So it went to OT. BC scored first. They were up 7. Okay, they were up 7 now. Then Pitt responded with the score of their own. So they go down 1, just got to kick the extra point. Now, Alex Kessman, who just hit that 58-yarder, wide right on the extra point attempt.
That's
So
oof.
just that's a 58.
Oh,
and
poor
misses
Pitt.
the extra point.
Pitiful.
That's how they lose the game.
Yeah.
So BC got the win 31-30. And it's a rough loss for Pitt, man.
Oh,
Missing an extra
didn't they lose
point.
by 1 to NC State?
They did
And by
back-to-back
3
weeks.
or they beat Louisville by 3. But yeah, it's been.
Louisville.
Oh man, BC's 3-1, man.
Well, nice start for Halfley there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to some rapid recaps. Just a few games here. What do you got, Trey?
All right, the first one is Virginia Tech at North Carolina. The Tar Heels won 56-45. They stormed out to a 21-0 lead in the first quarter, and it looked like they were just going to kind of run away and hide and destroy Virginia Tech. But hello, earth to Justin Fuente. Play Hendon Hooker.
Hendon Hooker,
when you
man.
have him.
That's crazy.
I hate being an armchair coach and second-guessing these guys, but Braxton Burmeister wasn't the reason the Hokies finished on a tear last year. Hooker came in finally, led a valiant comeback effort in the third quarter. They were down 42-17, cut it to 42-37, but then the Heels pulled away. The Hokies, no matter who the quarterback was, that Hokies defense has some issues. They couldn't stop anything. The Tar Heels ran for 399 yards, 9.3 yards per carry.
It's insane. Yeah. And I mean, the defense has a lot of issues, like you said, but one of the main ones is just they're missing so many guys, especially in that secondary with contact tracing. So it's been a rough go. They've missed the coordinator and some coaches in and out with COVID or contact
They've
tracing.
been hit the hardest out of any team in the nation. It's
They've been
pretty
hit
amazing.
pretty hard.
All right, moving on. A little less entertaining game. Kansas State at TCU. K-State won 21-14, despite only having 289 yards of offense and 12 first downs. Their defense, though, was great. They had a pick six that put them up 21-7, and in a low-scoring game like this, that shut the door. Freshman Will Howard filled in for Skylar Thompson, and we ended up learning that Skylar Thompson is out for the year. He had season-ending surgery. But Thompson, true freshman, he led K-State in rushing too. I mean, he did have 80 yards on one play. But here's a fun fact about K-State. Kleiman has been an underdog 10 times as K-State's coach. They've now won 7 outright.
Wow.
And then
finally,
yeah, they are. And then finally, NC State at Virginia. My upset special actually came through. I'm back on the NC State wagon after I wasn't so high on them the last couple of years. They won 38-21. Devin Leary threw 2 first quarter touchdowns, and they never looked back. Their defense had been bad this season, but played great against Virginia, forced 4 turnovers, including the best highlight. Alan McNeil, a big lineman, he batted a ball up in the air, caught it, and ran for an 18-yard pick six. You love seeing big guy touchdowns. Brennan Armstrong didn't look too good. He threw 2 picks. He ended up being knocked out with a concussion, but Virginia had a rough go on Saturday.
Okay. I've got Georgia dominating Tennessee 44-21. Garantano was very good in the first half. Georgia did gift them 7 points early on a bad snap that led to a touchdown, but second half was a whole different story. I mean, I think Tennessee was up 21-17 at half, but they didn't score again. Georgia defense just completely stifled them. Tennessee O-line just did not live up to the hype, at least in this game, going up against a tough defense. So Georgia has, clearly established themselves as the favorite in the East if they weren't already. Yep. Iowa State beat Texas Tech 31-15, but that score does not indicate how much they dominated. At one point, before garbage time, Iowa State was outgaining Texas Tech 504-95. That's insane.
That's
wow.
Alan Bowman was terrible, and Iowa State now 3-0 in conference, looking a lot better than after
Everybody
week 1.
Was
I was
freaking out after the Lafayette game.
Louisiana, please.
Sorry,
I was freaking out a little. No, I guess I didn't freak out. I was still confident in the team, but my lock over wasn't looking very good at that point.
Yeah, now it's
got a shot.
Real good shot. Yeah.
All right, Mississippi State at Kentucky. Kentucky won 24-2.
Hey.
Stat line for KJ Costello and the freshman Will Rogers at quarterback was 70 pass attempts, 0 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. And the offense obviously got shut out. So not good for Mississippi State. Nice bounce back win for Kentucky, though. They're 1-2 now. Close loss to close loss to Ole Miss at home, and
not a bad one at Auburn.
Yeah,
they competed. So
they're not bad.
That pick at the end zone that Terry Wilson threw at Auburn certainly hurt their chances in that one. But
yeah.
All right, my turn. You ready? You done?
Go for it.
Okay. Miami at Clemson's my first game. Just utter domination for Clemson. They came ready to play. I mean, they just made Miami look like complete chumps. I don't know if I don't think it's necessarily Miami not being that great. I just think Clemson's really, really, really good. Okay, I still think Miami can be a pretty good team, but they've shown that already. But it's just Clemson's just on another level. The pass rush is just nonstop. Derek King just couldn't do anything. I mean, it's not like he had anybody to throw to, and they couldn't get out of. He was getting pressured all the day, but it was utter domination. ETN and Trevor Lawrence were awesome. They won 42-17. Just another easy.
They got the field goal block.
Yeah, that was one of their touchdowns. Was at the end of the first half.
That was
BT
a questionable, interesting decision.
1-yard field goal. Yeah, didn't work out.
Yep. The next game, Florida State at Notre Dame. Florida State's offense woke up a bit with Jordan Travis kind of taking over here. He had 300 yards, total yards of offense in this one. FSU competed for a while, but in the end, Notre Dame was just too good, especially on the ground. They ran for 353 yards. Kyron Williams had a huge day, like Michael expected him to. And Notre Dame got the win 42-26.
Hey, so that was in our Q&A session on last Saturday morning. I brought up Kyron Williams, but Trey brought up Kellen Mond, right? That was your guy to have a big game.
Yeah, thank
Nailed
you.
That. Who was yours, Ryan?
Ellinger. That didn't work out too well.
Well, I mean, it worked out at the end.
Touchdowns.
Yeah, he had 6 touchdowns.
4 rushing and 2 passing.
It's true. If you're going fantasy-wise, there you go. He was clutch.
Yeah.
He was definitely clutch until the pick.
All right,
but
I'll take it. It is lost, but there was I didn't say who was going to win. I just said he would have a big day, I guess. Louisville at Georgia Tech. This one was played, was it a Friday, right? Think so.
I think so.
Yeah, the Yellow Jackets, they got the win 46-27 here. But it was a lot closer than that 19-point spread would indicate. Georgia Tech scored 2 touchdowns in the final 3 minutes to kind of make it look kind of bad. But the story of the game was turnovers. You would think, with the true freshman Jeff Sims for Georgia Tech, that they would kind of be on the wrong end of the turnover battle, because he's thrown like 8 picks in the first 3 games, but he didn't turn it over at all in this one. Meanwhile, Louisville turned it over 3 times to Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech scored 3 touchdowns off of those 3 turnovers. So that was obviously the difference in the game. Louisville kept shooting themselves in the foot. They looked like they would have had control in the first half, but they kept just giving it away. So props to Jeff Sims and a good win for Georgia Tech.
Okay, let's get to our segments. We've got 2 segments. The first one, Ryan, you're up again. We've got the top 5 list, and Trey and I, again, we have no idea what you're about to say. So
I don't either.
Okay. Wow. Top 5 numbers.
Top 5 things I've eaten for dinner in the last week. No, that'd be 5 things that are the same. California casserole.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I had it a few times.
It is very good, but wow.
It's delicious.
All right.
And I'm the only one who eats it. So it's, there's like make a batch. It's about 5 meals. Anyways, top 5 list. Top 5 dominating performances between 2 ranked teams. Just kind of made me think of that with the Clemson dominating Miami. So 2 ranked teams is 1 team just dominates. So number 5, you got the 2014 Big Ten title game. Number 5, Ohio State beat number 11 Wisconsin 59-0. That was a pretty brutal game. 59-0. You're
on the title.
That's crazy. So number 4, I have 1999 Virginia Tech. They beat Syracuse, number 16 Syracuse, 62-0.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was a huge spread. Yeah, that was big. Number 3, I got 2005 USC. They beat number 11 UCLA 66-19. That was the year that UCLA finished 10-2 under Carl Durrell. It was like they really weren't 10-2 probably.
Yeah, I remember that.
But they were. So anyways, at number 2, I have the 2000 Florida State team, because they have a multiple. So they have this like the whole season. So listen to these games. So 2013 Florida State, 63-0 over number 25 Maryland. 51-14 at number 3 Clemson.
Wow.
Yeah. 41-14 over number 7 Miami. And 45-7 over number 20 Duke.
Wow.
And
They
then
were good.
they were, I mean, the only reason why they're not maybe one of the top favorites for all time is because of the close win over Auburn in the national title. If they would have beat Auburn by 2 scores, I mean, that team has a legit gripe as being one of the best ever. So,
yeah,
that was that's an underrated team, Nash. As far as
what year was that?
13.
Oh, right.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next year is when they were just beating everybody close, but really weren't that good.
Exactly. So crazy that I was crazy surprised when I saw that they just demolished like top 10 teams, like crazy. All right, and then number 1, I think you guys might know where I'm going with this one.
Yeah,
you're gonna go the 95 Nebraska, Florida.
Maybe.
Yeah.
1995 Nebraska in the national title game. I mean, national title essentially 1 versus 2, 62-24 over Florida, and it was even worse than that. It was just utter domination. There was just no chance. I've never seen a national title game like that at all. It was just insane.
Well, I guess you just forgot USC's national title, Orange Bowl against Oklahoma.
55-19.
Is it 55-19? I was thinking in my head. That actually does.
I think it was 55-19. I might be wrong.
Okay. My brain was telling me 55-10, but 55-19 actually is sounding better. Yeah. I wasn't a USC fan at the time, or else I would really have it memorized. But the 55-19 sounds good.
I don't know why. Right. I remember random scores.
There's obviously a lot of ones you could put here, but just those were the ones that stuck out to me.
Okay. That was the game that halftime was Jessica Simpson.
Oh my gosh.
Oklahoma. Yeah, USC Oklahoma. Oof. That was brutal.
All right.
Okay. All right. So now it is my turn to be in charge of the segment here, and we are going to enter the trivia zone.
I'm going to ask you a trivia question here.
Trivia.
Doesn't matter what it is, you have answers.
Zone.
When you ask me those kind of questions, it really pisses me off.
Trivia zone.
Okay, so I really nailed this one this week, guys. So since 2000, there's been 49 games where a team has had at least 70 pass attempts. So I've got just some questions about those games, and I wanted to tweet these because there's some good little nuggets I got here, but I couldn't ruin the surprise for you guys. So
how many of them?
There's been 49,
and Mike Leach has done all of them.
No, he's done a lot. That's yeah. So anyway, the fewest points scored by any of those teams was this past weekend, Mississippi State with 2 points.
Surprise.
How many points is now the second fewest on the list?
I'm gonna
go with 3.
No, I'm gonna say
go 3. Okay.
I'm gonna say it's like a surprise. I'm gonna say like 10.
All right, so 70 pass attempts. It's the lowest. The next lowest is 20 points.
Whoa!
Yeah, wow. I mean, you're throwing it that much, you're bound to score somehow.
Wow! Whoa! It goes from 20 to 2. Oh,
yeah, man. Yeah. So that was that's how crazy Mississippi State's game was this weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was 20. I can give you more hints about who it was. Do you have any idea off the top?
Wazoo.
Well, no. So it was Ohio State. Now, do you know what the game was? Who were they playing?
Was it? Well, I mean, what would it have been against?
I don't know.
70 pass attempts.
Yeah.
Had to be somebody that there was like a high scoring game. Michigan, maybe?
Okay, no. So I'll give you the score now. Another hint. 49-20 was the score of the game. They lost.
Oh, Purdue.
Oh, yeah.
Purdue. Exactly. Who was the quarterback?
Yeah.
Who was the quarterback for Ohio State?
Haskins.
Yeah, exactly. Dwayne Haskins. So that was that's pretty crazy. So next question. In those 49 games, how many times did the team that attempted 70 plus passes win?
Oh. Yeah, I mean, usually you're trailing. So I'm going to say 15.
Okay, I was gonna say 14.
It is 15.
Oh, I really wanted 15, but Trey took it, so I was like, oh,
15 and 34 is the
my
record.
gosh.
I might have gone a little higher than that, but
Usually
yeah.
you're trailing so much. So
Yeah, like
Right.
Trey said that you're kind of trailing. Ohio State kind of made me think about that Ohio State Purdue game. Kind of made me think. I realized that, like, if you're gonna throw 70 times, you're probably not leading.
Yep. Okay, so final question here. So in this Mississippi State game last weekend, the attempts were split between two quarterbacks. So the last time a quarterback attempted 70 passes all by himself was in 2016, and that quarterback lost to Pitt that day. Who was the quarterback?
Lost to Pitt
In 2016.
Oh, was it an Oklahoma State quarterback?
It was not. The
Oh,
final score was 40.
I'm thinking West Virginia. Never mind. Wrong team.
Okay. The final score was 43-42. It's a conference game.
I mean, ACC play.
Oh, it was Clemson. And
Yes, it was.
who was their quarterback in 16?
Oh,
Oh, it was Deshaun Watson.
Exactly. Yep.
wow.
Watson. Yeah.
Wow,
So
I didn't know he threw 70 times in a game.
that's the
game that-
last time a quarterback has thrown for 70 passes, which I did double check that. But when I say that, you would have thought it would have happened since 2016, but I don't think so.
Wow. That was a crazy game, right? Pitt hit that long field goal to win, if I'm not mistaken, right?
So,
Sounds
I think
right.
So,
Wow.
wow. I would never have guessed that Deshaun Watson and Clemson
Yeah.
threw 70 passes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And who was the quarterback for Pitt that day? He had 5 touchdowns and no picks.
It was oh gosh. Hold on, I can picture him. Pitt. Oh man, that's gonna bug me.
Oh my goodness. What is
They got Pickett now. It was
I know, but I'm like,
Pitt. I'm gonna be bothered that I
You
didn't
need a
get
hint
it.
or something?
Yeah.
Well, he made it to the NFL
I know.
and was not good in the NFL. I don't know if he's still hanging around somewhere. I don't pay much
Peterman.
attention yet. Yes. Nathan Peterman.
Oh yeah, that's right.
not good. Yeah,
Yeah.
there it is.
That's right.
There you go. Okay.
Wow, what a game.
Oh, wow.
Let's move on to our week 7 picks. We'll start with BYU at Houston. BYU is favored 5, Trey.
I'm excited to see this game just about compared to any other this weekend. Houston, they were able to overcome 5 turnovers last week in their first game of the season against Tulane, and they ended up winning kind of comfortably. BYU, though, they had their first somewhat poor game. They only beat UTSA 27-20 as massive favorites. The concerning part, though, for Houston is Holgorsen said in his presser that 15 to 20 players are out of practice for a variety of reasons. And his quote was he didn't know how many of it would be available on Friday. Either way, they're going to need the defense to improve quickly because you got Zach Wilson. He's been playing at a Heisman level. His connection with Gunnar Romney is great. He leads the country in receptions more than 20 yards. But I like Houston. Their offense full of speed. It'll be BYU's toughest test by far. Marquez Stevenson, I think he's going to have a big play either returning or in the receiving game. So I'm going to take the 5 points and hope that Houston personnel loss isn't too big.
Yeah, I was kind of leaning towards the Houston, but with those key losses, we don't know exactly who they're going to be. It makes me kind of worries to take them. So I'll take BYU. Maybe they got a little bit of a wake up call. They were maybe was drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit about how good they were. Maybe this past game kind of wakes them up and gets back on track. Be like, hey, we got to kind of show ourselves again and kind of come out and dominate. So I could see them dominating on the ground. Their line plays really good. So Houston might have a tough time up front against them.
Okay. I really like Houston this year. I know we all kind of do. We talked about it in our G5 preview or G however many. Now it's 5. definitely had the confidence that the offense is going to be good in year 2 under Dana Holgerson. The defense is what really needed to take a huge step forward. And first game against Tulane, I mean, they allowed 3 yards per play. That is excellent. So that's a great start. They had just so many Power 5 transfers. They had 3 Power 5 transfers playing in the secondary, a former Sun Belt freshman of the year who came from Troy back there, a couple of highly recruited JUCO players. It's just a totally different defense than last year. So it's, I think, decent this year. I'm not saying it's good, but of course, BYU is going to be a different test. I expect kind of a shootout, but I like Houston. I'm gonna make them my lock this week.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully they're not missing
versus
key
Cougs.
players. Oh yeah, I like the Cougars. Can I make the Cougars my lock?
Did you guys see that Cougar video? Crazy.
Oh,
That was crazy. A guy
Wow.
getting kind of stalked by a cougar.
not sure I would want to have my phone up like this the whole time as it's happening.
I know, but bro,
I'd
you
put
gotta
it
go
down and
viral.
be ready
Yeah,
to,
that's true.
I don't know, try to fight this guy off. I don't know.
I know. Crazy.
I mean, he got
Anyway.
close a few times, like, time to ditch the phone.
Yeah. All right. Pitt, but he's okay. He's all good.
He's all right. He made it.
Pitt at Miami is our next game. Hurricanes favored 10.5.
Yes, they are. Yeah, this one to me seems like a pretty big spread. I know Pitt has lost a couple games here, but heartbreak, super close. Pitt's still got a good defense. They're still going to be able to run the ball a little bit. Kenny Pickett is not great, but we all know he's solid. So Miami, on the other hand, is coming off of a game where they're kind of licking their wounds here. We'll see if they can kind of get back in that flow. Losing that badly, I don't know, might have a little bit of an effect on them. But I just think Pitt has a defensive line that can maybe take advantage of that Miami line that's not that great. I think they can get pressure on De'Ara King and make life tough for him. I don't expect Pitt to go in there and necessarily win, but 10.5, Pitt just seems to always play in close games. They've had their last 3 games decided by 3 points or less. Last year, this game was decided by 4 points. I'm not seeing a 10.5 game here. I'm gonna say it's close. So I'm gonna take Pitt, and I'm actually gonna make Pitt my lock.
Yeah, I like Pitt as well in this game. It does worry me a little bit that Kenny Pickett got banged up last game, was kind of hobbling on that ankle. But honestly, I kind of like one of their backups, Joey Yellen from ASU. But he's not even the I guess there's an or with him at number 2 quarterback. So and of course they didn't really go to him. They went back to Kenny Pickett, even though he was hobbled at the end of last game. So not sure how much confidence they have in him, but the Pitt defense, that's obviously the key. And they've been, Miami's offense, first 3 games of the season, they were running the ball great, over 200 yards a game, 6 yards per carry. They were just, that was making things very easy. Against Clemson stopped the run. So kind of, and got a lead. So kind of made them one-dimensional, and you saw what happened. It didn't work out. I think Pitt, with that D-line, like you bring up, they can kind of, maybe a JV version of that.
Yeah,
boost.
it's obviously not Clemson level, but
no, they've allowed 1.7 yards per carry. So
very
they
good
can
against the run.
hopefully shut down the run game. The secondary, I don't know what has happened the last couple of weeks. Like
Yeah.
BC and NC State have just torched them. So that also concerns me. That's why it's not my lock, but
Yeah.
I think they can get a cover.
And to add on to that run defense, they've only given up 52 yards per game on the ground. So I think it's a good recipe against Miami. Slow down Cameron, the Canes ground attack. But so I'm also with you guys. I'm taking Pitt plus the points.
Okay. Louisville at Notre Dame. Notre Dame is favored 17. Obviously, I feel confident Notre Dame's going to win the game. Louisville's defense has been awful this year. Notre Dame's going to be able to run the ball easily. Ian Book probably won't face a ton of pressure. But I do think maybe Louisville is being a little bit undervalued right now. They're currently -8 in turnover margin through 4 games. That's just unsustainably bad. They arguably outplayed Pitt in that loss, close loss. They had the lead entering the fourth quarter against Georgia Tech. So, Ryan, you talked about it. That final score was maybe a little bit misleading. Still believe in their offense, at least the skill talent. So I'll say they can cover 17.
Yeah, I totally hear you. That's fair. I'm going to actually lay the points with Notre Dame. I just think Ian Book and Kyron Williams are going to be able to run all over this defense. They're 96th in SP plus defense. I will say Jordan Travis, like you mentioned earlier, Ryan, in your recap, he was able to get some big chunk plays for Florida State against Notre Dame. So I could see Louisville having some success offensively, but the one thing is Notre Dame, I guess, is expecting 2 starters back on defense. Defensive tackle Myron Tagovailoa Amosa, and then their linebacker Jack Kaiser. So a couple new faces or starting pieces on defense can only help. I just can't back this Louisville team losing by 3 scores. I know it was close to Georgia Tech.
Trey, you kind of did you say you have Tagovailoa and Kaiser? Tua and Deshaun playing there on Notre Dame defense here?
Yeah, exactly. How about that?
Wow, that's crazy.
But yeah, like I said, I just can't back this team. They've lost 3 in a row, so I'm going to take the Irish.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me because I'm kind of leaning with Trey. I just don't believe in Louisville's defense enough to be able to stay real close with Notre Dame. They could just wear them down, and kind of like Louisville. I mean, it's a little bit different, but kind of like Louisville happened at Georgia Tech. They just eventually folded. Georgia Tech really kind of iced it on the end. I think Notre Dame can do that, and even at a greater level with how great their ground game is, and their offensive line is awesome. So yeah. Louisville's going to put up points. Sure, they're not going to. Notre Dame's not going to stifle them, but Louisville could put up 28, and I still don't think they would cover 17.
Man, Louisville is about to be 1-4. I mean, if they don't pull off the big upset here, that's crazy. I mean, they're not that bad, but
no,
rough start.
Very disappointing.
LSU at Florida. Florida is favored 11.5 as we speak now. That line has come down the last several hours. Trey, what's the reason there?
Well, the Gators had to shut down team activities as they're dealing with positive COVID tests. So I'm not even certain at this point the game
probably won't even be played.
But I mean, Dan Mullen wants 90,000 fans in the stadium, but that's a different story. But if it does, I'm assuming the game goes. The whole world is piling on LSU right now. I don't think many people are giving them a chance in Gainesville. I think Florida's going to bounce back and get the win, I think. But I think LSU can cover this spread here. Kyle Trask, he's going to put up numbers. We know about Kyle Pitts. Kadarius Toney has become the go-to receiver. He should make some plays. But I think Miles Brennan, the LSU offense, can move the ball. We've talked about how the Gator defense is pretty susceptible to some points. Terrace Marshall has been almost unstoppable at wide receiver. He already has 7 touchdowns through 3 games. So I'm going to take the points.
Okay. I'm going to go against you. I'll take Florida. Give them the points. I just feel like LSU will kind of stumble a few times, and that's all it's going to take for that Florida offense. Because the Florida offense is going to, I don't know how many points LSU can prevent them from scoring, but it's not. Maybe we
should measure LSU's defense in yards prevented. In this game.
Exactly. That's what I feel like this game's going to kind of.
I'm going to check out that stat always now. I love
Florida
it.
State's going to score a lot of touchdowns, or Florida, is going to score a lot of touchdowns in this one, and LSU will score too. There's no doubt, but I could see this one being like a 52-40 type of game, or something like super high where Florida just still covers.
That's a very close cover for Florida there.
Yeah, I know. Well, I did some math there real quick. But.
The over under for this game is 73 right now. So it's going to be
overs have been good
if it goes off. But I'm with Trey. I like what Miles Brennan's been doing. The passing game has been good, especially given that the running game is not helping him out at all. So all things considered, he's doing well, at least, especially compared to that first game. I think a lot of people were extremely down on him. Okay, UCF -3.5 at Memphis. What do you think, Ryan?
I'll take Memphis here. If you're going to give me 3.5 points at Memphis, Memphis is a very good team. They've been kind of the class of it's right up there neck and neck with that AAC. So give me 3.5 at home. I'll take it, especially with UCF coming off of that Tulsa loss, which was kind of disappointing. They really the offense just got shut down there by Tulsa. And Zach Smith for the Tulsa's QB just kind of erupted there against that UCF defense, which doesn't seem to be necessarily all that great. So I'm going to take Memphis. Brady White, I think he's going to have a huge game. They're going to do enough to slow down Dylan Gabriel and UCF. So I'll gladly take 3.5 with Memphis at home.
Yeah, I have to think that this line is maybe reflecting that Memphis has had some issues with COVID that cost them a lot of practices, and maybe that's still lingering in terms of their what their play is going to be like. Obviously, they had very sloppy start, making a lot of mistakes in that game. They got it going at the end and came back. So I'm going to take the 3.5. I guess the point spread is, I think, a little bit too much. I do think UCF's a little bit better, but maybe not that much better. So I'll bet on Brady White, DeMonte Coxey, that offense to keep up.
I agree with you guys. I like Memphis here. The loser of this game is going to be a challenge for them to get back in the AAC championship game. I mean, they'll still be alive, but a lot tougher with a couple losses. But I just look at these teams and I think they're even or very similar on both sides of the ball. And I just think, Ryan, you mentioned the Tulsa game. Maybe Memphis can use that blueprint and hold UCF somewhat in check. I think the Tigers might win this straight up, and I'm going to make Memphis my lock.
All right. Well, we got the game of the year.
Yeah.
Georgia at Alabama. I haven't even checked. I imagine that's where game day's going. Alabama, is favored 6. And you got the best offense in college football, Alabama, against the best defense in Georgia. And I'm going to go with Alabama. I mean, I think these days it seems like great offense kind of beats great defense. And it's one thing for Georgia to shut down Arkansas and Auburn and Tennessee. Alabama's going to put some points up, and not through any fault of Georgia. I mean, they're one of the best defenses in years, but it's just the offense is just too good. Mac Jones is playing too well. So they're going to score some. I mean, they're not going to go up and down the field, but that means Stetson Bennett is going to have to kind of do the same. And maybe I'm just to buy in on him because he has been good, but now you're going up against Alabama. You're going to have to, a lot of pressure is going to be on him. He's going to have to probably complete some deep balls and, really push the ball down the field like he hasn't necessarily in previous games. Pressure is going to be on him. So that's why I'm going with the Tide.
The other thing, this game's on primetime on CBS. It's going to be sweet night game. But this game's really difficult because I totally hear your points. I kind of waffled back and forth. I'm going to take the defense in Georgia. I know how ridiculous that offense of Bama has been. Mac Jones hasn't faced a defense like close to Georgia's this year. So I want to see how he performs when he can't maybe move the ball down the field every single possession. So that's the game within the game that I'm curious to see. And I think the Bama defense will start to show what we thought against this Georgia offense because they are a little more inferior with Stetson Bennett, but he's shown me at least enough that he's capable and he can at least move the ball a little bit against them. And maybe Alabama's defense isn't all that we made it up to be, and Georgia can move the ball a little bit. I saw a stat, and it's kind of dumb, doesn't really mean a ton, but Georgia can't get to 4th and 1 on offense. They're 1 for 7 on 4th and 1 since last season. It's the worst in the country. Kind of surprising.
Weird. Yeah, they're definitely surprising.
I'm going to go with Trey here. I'm going to take the points. I know Bama's great, but just the way their defense looked last week just makes it tough for me to have confidence that they're going to shut down Georgia, who, I mean, their offense isn't amazing, but they got some good players there. I mean, they put up some good points, put up 44 last week against a solid Tennessee defense. So combine that with obviously the great defense, I think this game will be, it's so cool to see it. Just a great defense going up against great offense. But I just think that Stetson Bennett will put up enough to make it close. So I think this one's going to go down to the end. But I'll take the 6.
This is one of those games that I am probably not actually going to bet because I just want to cheer for. I just want it to go to overtime, and you're just cheering for a close game. So can't wait to watch.
Yep.
All right, let's get to some honorable mentions. Some other big games worth bringing up this weekend.
Yes.
Ryan, go ahead.
Alrighty, the first game I got here is this one's being played tomorrow. So, this morning, if you're listening to it tomorrow morning, but we got Coastal Carolina playing at Louisiana. I can leave it at that. Louisiana's did I not say that already?
I don't know. Wednesday morning, it was weird.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes, this one's being played Wednesday night. Louisiana is favored 7.5, which is crazy to think about. Before the year, you would have thought Coastal Carolina going to Louisiana, like this would have been like 12, like 20 or something like that. But Coastal Carolina is, huh?
Nothing.
Yeah. Anyways, Coastal Carolina is a different team this year, man. Grayson McCall has been awesome. Podcast favorite, Coastal Carolina, looking pretty good. Louisiana's been skating by lately. They've been winning some close ones. So I'm going to take Coastal Carolina plus that 7.5 points. I think it's going to be a great game. Second game, I got North Carolina at Florida State. North Carolina's favored 13.5. We'll see if Florida State and Jordan Travis can kind of keep up the momentum a little bit on offense there, see if they can kind of do that. And obviously North Carolina was susceptible last week to Virginia Tech's offense, so maybe they can keep this one interesting. I'm surprisingly convincing myself to take Florida State, which could be a massive mistake, but they got to at least show some life here, right? They're gonna. So let's say that. Let's do it here. Florida State. Come on, guys. And then number 3 here, I got Auburn is favored 3.5 at South Carolina. This one, I got to take the points. Auburn has not looked super impressive, of course. They skated by Arkansas, who no doubt is a much improved team, as we've seen so far. But just don't feel confident for Auburn to go to South Carolina, who's a solid team. I like Colin Hill. He's a solid quarterback. So give me the 3.5 with the Gamecocks at home.
Okay. Clemson minus 27 at Georgia Tech. I'm going to take Clemson. I think they can force Jeff Sims back into a few more turnovers, certainly than he had last week. And those chunk plays that Sims had against Louisville are not going to be there, I don't think, against the Clemson defense. So I think Clemson can win by 4 touchdowns. Ole Miss minus 3 at Arkansas. I know Felipe Franks has been good, and that Ole Miss defense is terrible, but I'm just going to bet on what I think is by far the best group in this game, and that's Ole Miss's offense. Matt Corral's putting up Heisman-level numbers. I mean, it's just crazy. Obviously, they'd have to win more for him to have a real chance at the Heisman, but he should at least be being mentioned.
Yeah.
The skill talent is even better than we thought. Kenny Yeboah stepping up at tight end for Ole Miss.
He looks good.
Yeah, we already knew about Elijah Moore at receiver and the running backs, Jerry and Ely, and Snoop Connor stepped up last game. So I'm going to keep rolling with the lane train. And then my final game is Cincinnati minus 3 at Tulsa. Zach Smith for Tulsa, Ryan, you brought him up. Solid quarterback, the former Baylor transfer, and their defense just shut down UCF. And Desmond Ridder, Cincinnati's quarterback, seems to be regressing every year. It was pretty promising freshman year, but now as a junior, just not looking good. But I will say 3 points though is just not that much to give here for a team that I think has a huge talent edge overall. Cincinnati themselves, they've got a great defense, best defense in the G5 probably. So I will lay that minus 3.
Got it. All right. I'm going to go back to the SEC, Kentucky at Tennessee. Tennessee's favored 6. I'm starting to become a fan of the Vols, and I think they're going to win Saturday, but it's going to be close. So I'm going to take Kentucky against the spread. I'm encouraged by their performance against Mississippi State. Held Leach's first ever game without an offensive score. They harassed Costello, and maybe they're rounding into form now. They're going to need to prevent Tennessee's wideout Josh Palmer from beating them. I like him; he's good, but Tennessee will just win a squeaker. Texas A&M minus 6.5 at Mississippi State, who I just mentioned. I'm going to take the Aggies. These two teams are just going in different directions right now. A&M confident, just beat the Gators, of course. Mississippi State, they've looked pretty bad the last couple games. Leach is telling the media he needs people on the team that are bought in, and it's just changed so fast since that first game against LSU.
Yeah. What was he saying? He needs to purge I forget the word he used, but it was just, I didn't like it.
Not great, but Kellen Mond, Spiller on the ground. They're going to beat up the Bulldogs defense. And then finally, Boston College at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's given 11.5. I'm going to take the 11.5 in Boston College. Hafley at this moment in time, I would maybe argue he's the ACC Coach of the Year. 3-1 with their only loss being to North Carolina. Not many saw that coming. I'm not saying the rest of the year they're going to be good or he'll be the Coach of the Year, but just at this moment. Phil Jurkovich, he's been playing great. 358 yards, 3 touchdowns on Pitt's good defense. The Hokies will score. I'm hoping it's Hendon Hooker from start to finish so we can truly see what this Hokie team looks like.
Imagine if he put out Braxton Burmeister.
The Twitter outrage is hilarious to watch too of all the fans, but they're going to score no doubt. But they haven't stopped much on defense, so I think BC can hold them within the 11.5.
All righty, it is time for the questionable finish. Ole Miss's defense did not stand a chance against Alabama last week. Name a time you tried to prevent something from happening, but knew you stood no chance.
Man, this one, I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I had to go to the bathroom really, really bad.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And number one.
Okay.
And we were pretty far away from the nearest facilities, and I couldn't hold it anymore. So the dam broke.
Oof. That's brutal.
Yeah, I was young, but I remember it. I remember being
Yeah.
embarrassed because I was old enough to that couldn't happen.
Ryan's
All
calling
right,
it
well-
from a telephone now.
Oh, yeah. Can you
Hey.
hear it? Ryan's audio messed up for you?
Yeah, it sounds like he's on the phone. It's all right. He just
Really?
dialed in for this segment.
Yeah, whatever. Hopefully it sounds good to the listeners. I don't know. Anyway, for me, it's anytime I open a sleeve of Ritz crackers and I try not to eat the
Oh.
whole thing
Oh,
because it's just no chance. Those, I mean, it seems like I think they actually have a decent amount of calories, but they go down like nothing.
Oh, it's just
Yeah.
like water.
Yeah.
Those are so good.
Yeah.
All my life I've just had the hardest time from girls loving me. I couldn't help it. I actually had it was amazing.
Wow.
No, I
they
really-
do feel kind of bad for you.
Really, I had to beg. It was kind of sad.
All right. Next question. Mississippi State did not score an offensive point against Kentucky. Sorry, Mississippi State fans, for continually bringing that up this episode.
Yeah.
And they've lost 2 games in a row, of course, after that impressive win at LSU. Name a time when you started the season, when you started hot, but faded quickly.
Well, Mississippi State, they're known for being in Stark Vegas. So I'm going to talk about craps in Vegas, gambling.
Mm.
First trip I was old enough to actually gamble, I won a bunch at the craps table. In the countless amount of times I've played craps since, I feel like I've lost almost every time. It just hooked me in. I started great, but ever since, just been horrendous.
Yeah, it's brutal. For me, it was, I think I brought this up maybe a couple years ago on the pod, but it was basketball tryouts when we first moved down to San Diego.
Oh.
Day one of tryouts, I was just dominating. Like, it was just, I just thought, holy crap, like everyone sucks at basketball at San Diego. Great. But then day 2 of tryouts was when apparently all the football players came because they had to miss day 1. They had a game or something. So that's where all the best athletes were. And so, yeah, it was a rude awakening.
Got put in your place real quick there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. Mine is somewhat similar. At least it's a sports thing. I was playing a basketball in a game, and I think this was my JV. I played a JV in college. They had JV college hoops for me, so I was playing on the JV, and I was like started off the game like really hot. I think I started like 6 for 6 shooting on the 3-pointers, and then I just proceeded to miss like the next 10. Like the other team was playing a zone, so I could just light it up. And my coach was like, "You better shoot the ball, Newman. Just put it up." And started hot, but then my God, I just really faded down the track. I got tired. I was not in shape. My legs were gone.
All right. Final question here. We got to give our upset specials for the week. And last week, my pick was Coastal Carolina over Louisiana. Of course,
You didn't lose.
I didn't. Yeah. So I'm just going to roll that over. I'm going to pick Coastal again. Grayson McCall, you brought him up, Ryan. Coastal, they're a team. So got to roll with
Go
them.
for it, man.
All right, I'm going to go. I went with Florida International a couple weeks ago. I'm going to stick with them. They're getting 7.5 against Charlotte. Love Will Healy, but I think Butch Davis and co, they can keep it close, maybe pull off the win. Devontae Price has been amazing on the ground for them. Maybe he'll help pull the upset.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I am going to, well, first of all, I hit mine last week. I had
Oh, yeah, me too.
yeah, there you go. I had K-State beating TCU, so that makes me 4-1 on
That's
my
amazing.
upset specials. kinda
Lifetime
crazy.
record, I feel like, on these as a group it's got to be really good. Like,
It's
Surprisingly good.
pretty insane.
yeah, we've been getting lucky.
You're very lucky. But my luck's not going to run out here. I'm going with Pitt. They're getting 10.5 at the U. I think
Oh,
the
you're
U, they
doubling
can take it.
down.
Yeah, I think that defensive line is going to cause
The
some
lock
issues, man. Pitt,
and the
Miami's
upset.
not going to be able to run on them. They're going to have to rely on their arm, and their passing game's not that great. So Pitt's going to take advantage.
All right. that'll do it for the College Football Bros podcast. Be on the lookout for our Big Ten season preview episode. We pre-recorded that last night, so that'll be coming out in the next couple days. And next week, our episode next week may be coming a couple days later than usual. I'm going to be traveling, so sorry about that, but we'll make up for it. It'll be a great episode.
Best ever.
Talk to you then.
You've been listening to the College Football Bros. If you have any questions for the next podcast, email them to collegefootballbros@gmail.com. To keep up with the brothers on social media, like them on Facebook at College Football Bros, follow them on Instagram at College Football Bros, and for their commentary on Saturdays, follow them on Twitter at CFB Bros. Thanks for listening.